go.
Oh, hey everybody, it's me, John, and we are painting some Thousand Suns today. We might get to some other things, but the big thing for the show is going to be assembly lining your armies, so I'll be kind of working on that and talking through my process, and, talking about ways that you can hopefully streamline how you paint your armies, especially when you have a lot to get painted. Because it's the new year, and we have a lot of leagues and campaigns and all that sort of good stuff happening here at Gigabytes, and I really want to play my Thousand Suns for the league, for the 40K league uh, that we have going on, and so I am trying to get as many guys at least tabletop ready as possible. So I am doing all this fun stuff. Right now, I am putting a base coat, or what I use for my base coat of white, on the tabard. Is it tabard? Loincloth? There's got to be like a better term for the little dangly cloth that they use. I'm going to go with tabards though, because it sounds a little bit more organized, a little bit more professional, army-wise. Oh, hi, Emily. Sad scraping sound? Is that how you would characterize my voice, Emily? Is it a sad sound? Is it like a sad trombone? Womp. We'll be working on the audio, so bear with us as we get it together. So painting white, especially when you don't prime white, can be tricky business. And I don't know how good the camera and the lighting that we have can pick it up, but if you're not priming white, painting white is going to take layers, and it's going to take patience, and you're going to have to be okay with that. So, what I'm doing is I am using the T3 equivalent of Celestra Gray, which is going to be Trollblood Highlight. It's kind of like this off blue, warm-ish, almost light gray, in my professional opinion. It is getting applied. I did a base coat of the Retributor armor, and then I started blocking in the other colors and things like that after a wash. So base coating of white is going to take several layers of this. But once I get it in there, all the other subsequent steps are going to fly by very quickly. So base coating, probably the least fun part of the job for me, but it's kind of the most necessary. And so we'll keep working on it. And thanks, Trent. So you can see on this Thousand Suns Rubrique with the Soul Reaper autocannon, he's got a gold loincloth-ish kind of going on, which is not what we want, right? Like, gold can be many things. Gold to me still reads weird on minis when it is supposed to be cloth. So we want to start flocking in the first layer. And as Duncan always says, two thin coats. And then John says on top of that, unless it's white, and then it'll probably be more. So, kind of start talking about the process. These guys are probably not going to be the most mind-blowing models we have I've ever painted, but I want them to be done quickly and as effectively as possible. So I started off, and I followed the Games Workshop kind of formula, where they recommended priming gold, and then washing the gold, and then coming in and painting in the blue, like blocking it in, while avoiding the filigree. I think it worked out pretty well. I might try the other way where I will airbrush in the nice blue color that I want and then go in and paint the gold filigree, because that's usually my method. And so I kind of want to figure out which one.
That's just basically this here.
Okay, cool. Going fine?
Yeah, I'm sort of.
Yeah, alright. Alrighty. Sorry about that. So basically, blocking in the blue and washing it, like, I don't necessarily like the wash step for it because I don't like to desaturate the colors that we have, and for those not necessarily hip with like a full art degree like this guy, desaturation is basically making the color less vibrant by either adding white or black to it. And so turning it either into like a pastel or kind of like a muddier color with that addition. And I want to avoid that as much as possible. But the reason why they recommend doing that wash is so that you get a nice lining or trim along the edge of the blue armor before the gold starts. So basically putting something that's super dark next to a super light. And that to me is it's a good way of building contrast, and also a good way of making your model readable from a further distance. And the readability is basically how well you can tell individual areas of it from a further distance. So readability is actually like pretty big in this whole mini kind of hobby, because you want to make sure that your guys look great when some Joe Schmo, no offense if your name is actually Joe Schmo, I'd actually like to meet you, so you are Joe Schmo, hit me up. So the readability, you want your models to look as good as possible from an optimal distance, which is going to be probably 3 to 4 feet away from where you stand, which I don't know, might seem short to some people, but that's actually pretty far away. There are little servos inside my torso. In my efforts to make myself more dinosaurian, I've had to replace parts. On an easy, takes its toll. So, they're still working on the audio, guys.
Correct.
See, even Joseph. So hopefully my tiny servos won't be heard for much longer. Blah. But yeah, so once you build that line with like a wash or something like that, it pushes the model further, and just a little bit of shade on a model, not at your opponent, will go a long way in terms of how you can view it from a distance. So, but once the blues are done, the blues are going to be next after these whites.
So that has to be quite light skin.
Yeah, got it. The only way I can see is if you drop that in something stationary and you got enough leverage.
But on the plus side, looks like the mic is going bad. Oh no. Well, rip mic.
would like.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
normally we put something that much tweak.
Uh, so we'll table this for today.
Yep.
I'll see. I'm pretty sure.
Well, hopefully the mic will hold out, even if it is tiny servos in my voice. While I work on my favorite thousand sounds. One of the biggest issues I have with painting white is not being patient enough. I have a tendency to want to be able to blend and smooth and transition everything out really quickly with white, and that usually will do more harm than good for my pieces. So a lot of it is I have to be able to be okay looking at it and saying, hey, you know, I worked with it as much as I could. Any more is going to cause, streaking or me to pull too much pigment away from one area into another, causing weird stains or something like that. And say, I'm going to put down this model and come back to it once the paint has dried a little bit. And that's something that skill we can all learn a little bit more is patience, not rushing a project too much. I promise you, all of their stuff would look better if it just took a little more time. Kept at it. I'm using the Privateer Presses Studio work brush. It's pretty close to a 1 or a 2 in terms of like the Windsor Newton in terms of size. It's a thicker brush, but I like it because it's a thick brush that holds its point relatively well, and that is always a good deal for me. I like a lot of control with a brush in terms of I don't want to have to set down my brush a whole bunch while I'm working with it and like swap it around. And so if you're able to get a nice wide brush that you can kind of control how much pressure you're putting down, control the brush size, it will save you so much time and make your paintings feel so good. Joe, why did you have to kill the knife?
I plead the fifth.
What did that mic do to you, Joe?
Plead the fifth. I have no idea.
Such a sweet, innocent mic. Oh, remember, guys. You know, whatever. We can do whatever we want. Yeah, I know. Did you figure it out, Joe? Or is it just dying? Sorry, guys, for the technical difficulties. We are working on getting everything fixed. But you know, what's a gigabyte stream without a few technical difficulties? Do 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 do. Does that sound better?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. All right.
Does that sound better?
Hopefully the sound's good now, guys. If the sound sounds okay, like, comment, or subscribe. Right? Is that what all the cool kids on YouTube do? Constantly plug their own stuff. So I'm doing like a process pretty close to edge highlighting on these tassels, where I'm just dragging the flat of my brush across them, so it is picking up the most raised areas to it, and giving me a good idea of where I should like highlight further. The Aspiring Sorcerer is going to take a little bit more time than most of them, just because of the amount of detail on him compared to the other guys. You know, he's got robes, he's got tassels, he's got staff, he's got a lot of little extra stuff. So he is in it for the long haul. And what I'm doing is just kind of like evening out the shading. It looks like we've already like done the next layer of highlight on him, which is pretty awesome. In terms of the armor pads, so that should save us some time when we move into, let's say, the third step of the armor, which is like starting to do the minor highlights and then finally like the spot highlights. But yeah, what's everyone working on paint-wise? Doesn't necessarily have to be for miniature games or whatever. I know RPG figures have been good. I know Emily's been working on a lot of like 2D illustration commissions, which have also been really rad to watch. So, like I said, this is going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of paint one area, get some color on it, get it kind of where I want it, and then hop over to the next area so I'm not overworking a particular piece. And using the flat of my brush, especially on a lot of these raised ridges on the back part of his little cloak, is really helping me determine where the highlights really should go. And especially on this site, this is like the first highlights. You can be really aggressive, and that's always one of my problems I have, or things I can't get over, is like I can be more aggressive on the first layer of highlights. I'm always too afraid of like destroying my base coat that I took too long doing. But it's one of those things where I just need to get over it and do it. It's better to take initiative and make a mistake than sit there and kind of ponder over something for a really long time, because at the end of the day, I still feel like it's going to be a 50-50 on like you not being happy on it at the end. So like, why not just paint something quickly, or at least with gusto, as opposed to taking forever and still kind of ending up with a product that you're not super happy with. So yeah, at the end of the day, take action. Be that bold action hero you've always wanted to be. At least when it comes to your models. Everyday life, maybe not as much. Like, you know, don't have to like Schwarzenegger down every door. So, if someone was going to ask me, hey John, would you assembly line all of your armies if you could? I'd say no. I find much more enjoyment out of painting a couple models to one model at a time, and assembly lining usually makes me feel a little too rigid in my approach. So I would normally prefer to do more of a, I want to say painterly style, but that's not it. But basically do model to model basis. Now, it does, especially after a short to long while, it will affect the consistency of your army, because you know, the natural progression is for you to learn or figure out shortcuts or whatever as you're doing it. So over a long period of time, you'll notice you're like, oh man, like I totally painted this one section better than this one section on this guy, and so on and so forth. And that's natural. Usually most people won't be able to tell. It'll just be you kind of mulling over minor imperfections in your army, which is personally my favorite game.
But shouldn't stop you from enjoying it and having a good time. Having a good time. And so one thing with this method that I went with, the prime gold then blue method, there's a couple things I like and I don't like about it. One of the big things that I don't like is the coverage of the gold itself, or the fact how paints go over the gold. Other paints don't have the tendency to stick to it, so it requires like a lot of secondary layers for base coats or a lot of touch-ups and things like that. And like, yeah, Thousand Suns have a lot of raised filigree, but I would find that almost easier to paint and not damage the blue as the other way. I have a tendency to kind of go over or be a little too heavy with the blue, and I'm going to have to go in and touch up a lot of the gold. So there's a lot of things to think about while doing each one. So but yeah, so after I do the whites, and I'll come in and finish the blues. The other step would be doing the black. So I do black paneling for the guns, and I will also be doing the same thing for the joints. So like they have these like little joints in between their legs and things like that. And sometimes I've painted them silver on other Marines, but for the Thousand Suns, I like the idea of them being like kind of like rubbery, like rubber hoses sort of thing. And that should also help kind of break up the model and not make it too metallic-y looking, because that's kind of an issue, or something I would like to avoid with these guys, is making them look too gold or too silver, or just too metallic, because I want the focus to be on the blue. And that's something I definitely worried about with priming gold, is that, the natural opposite to blue is going to be orange, and, gold is pretty orange, so it'll have to kind of wash out the blue. So, don't want that. Ain't nobody want that. So, Thousand Suns might be one of those armies that I would recommend people sub-assemble them, just because there's a lot of little like bits and pieces to the army that a normal brush can't necessarily get to without a bit of work. But we'll get there. Oh my god, I thought I at least base coated all these tabards. Looks like there was more than 3 that I didn't do. Shame. Shame on me. If anyone watching has questions, comments, concerns, wants me to talk about events coming up, whether it's a league, a tournament, what's going on with David, like, how many vacations is he taking, how many more could he possibly take a year, happy to answer those questions. or to the best of my ability, answer them. I don't know if they'll be correct answers.
Thank you.
Oh, I even missed little spots on his backpack to make blue. And this is one thing that I run into a lot, at least as I'm assembly lining things, is I will constantly find spots that I missed, you know, in terms of coverage and such. So, I don't know if it's me, maybe I'm just, you know, too loose with the brush, or if other people run into this problem, but like, that's one thing that really slows me down when I do assembly lines. So I'll be working, and then be like, oh man, I forgot this panel of that one color that I've already taken out of my palette, and now I need to go back and either mix it or, you know, put a little on my palette to fix up that one area that I did. And then it's even more compounded if, like, I've washed and moved on to the next step, so... not my favorite part of the job, but it happens.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right down. There you go.
Trying to keep me on camera. If I run off camera, guys, please shout at me. I know most of you guys probably just have my voice on for that ASMR satisfaction. Get that tingling in your brain. Isn't that what that's supposed to do? What's everyone's gaming resolutions?
Well, there was a game coming out for PC that I'm really looking forward to.
PC? We're not some sort of PC cafe.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking about actually buying Terraforming Mars.
You should buy Terraforming Mars.
I should.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. My birthday's coming up, so probably a gift to myself.
What's your birthday, Joe?
January 14th.
Oh man, that is right around the corner.
It is. So, either that or something else.
You know, my birthday's coming up too, Joe.
Oh, when is February? March? April?
July 7th.
Oh. That's quite. That's really close.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, exactly. Close.
Better start planning my gift now, Joe.
What would John want? Oh, I know what he wants. A dinosaur. There he is.
That's
okay.
that was already given to me. That's already a gift.
Okay.
God, Joe, you can't just like give
How
other
about
people
this thing right here?
No, that's Caspian's.
Oh, okay, so I can't give that away.
Yeah, God.
Something tells me that I'm regifting. I can't do that.
Yeah, you can't regift.
So as I'm painting, I'm like applying my Star Wars Legion troops. I'm trying to figure out what to paint them.
White and black.
White and black legions, the Rebel Alliance.
Oh, for Rebel Alliance, maybe not do that. I don't know. Like, do like kind of a cool bright color.
Bright color.
Bright color, like do like a bright blue or a bright green.
Well, John Caspian already had bright blue for stormtroopers, so blue and black for the stormtroopers he had.
Well, do the opposite and do
Black and blue.
No, orange.
Orange. Oh yeah, because blue and orange are the highest contrast, was it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like you could do blue and orange. Or sorry, no, you can do orange. Like if you do oranges and browns, that's pretty good, and that'd be good for the Rebel Alliance. Or oranges and black, like oh man, I'm free. Pose X-wing.
Oh yeah, orange and black. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one. Well, I was actually thinking about doing some soups according to the flags that they from the plant they're from.
Okay.
It's kind of like a if it's they're each units. What is it? The unit they have, or each
Mhm.
unit has a flag of color of the flag of the home planet. So kind of a representation of that.
That sounds cool.
So yeah. So that's what I was thinking of doing. Either it was black, teal, and gold, and some gray involved. Who knows? I'll think of something.
I'm sure you will.
Oh yeah. So. So what's the next Mompog faction coming out?
So the next releases are going to be next weekend, the 12th.
Oh, nice.
And it is rounding out the guard models, which are the giant robots,
Ooh.
and the Martians.
Huh.
So,
Robots and Martians. Pacific Rim.
yeah. So, it'll be really cool for both of those guys to get the models, the guard base, the Martian, what is it called? The Martian, like, control probe or something like that.
Okay.
And then they get Deimos 9, which is a tripod for the Martians, and then Sky Sentinel for the guard.
Sky Sentinel. Is that going to be a vehicle or just a robot?
It'll be a robot, but it's a robot dedicated to the flying models in the game.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Yeah, so...
It's Pacific Rim, so you can just have the Pacific Rim soundtrack playing while you're
Oh, yeah.
playing the game. Speaking of big monsters and stuff, Godzilla's coming out this year.
Yes, in May. It's
May?
around Emily's birthday.
Oh, well. Maybe a birthday.
So we're going to be doing, we're going to be doing a Monpok promotion.
Oh, nice.
Either a giveaway or a tournament or something like that, but we're going to be doing something and like doing tickets to see Godzilla
Oh.
from the store. So
Oh, awesome.
yeah,
That'd be nice, God. So, what do you think of the first Godzilla movie?
I liked it, but I kind of like the slow plotting movies. Like I like the first Hulk, the one with Eric Bana, done by Ang Lee. And I like that Godzilla movie because it was a really long and like thorough kind of build up to this like final action sequence. And I thought it was kind of cool. I know there are some people who didn't necessarily like it all too much. Like it wasn't everyone's favorite because hey, the action sequences weren't there a lot, and it's a giant monster movie. And
I think one of the complaints was you barely saw Godzilla for most of the movie until the end.
correct. It's one of those things where if you have a main character, show him off, make him the main character. Don't make your main character a cameo, right?
Yeah.
But I liked it for what it was. I don't know necessarily if to me it stuck true enough to like the core concept behind Godzilla. Like we're the bad guys for irradiating our planet. Yeah. So. Yeah. But I love the design of Godzilla. I really like the actors in it, and I'm super excited for this one because
More monsters in it, like three-headed.
yeah, Gigora
Yeah.
Gigorda. I'm just gonna keep mispronouncing it.
It's okay. It's just big monsters fight big monsters.
Yep.
So, I'd say the movie I really did enjoy that was slow paced. It was the new Blade Runner movie.
Oh yeah,
2049.
that was really good.
Oh yeah, it was long, but it was worth it. It was like it was a fine wine. You just enjoy one sip at a time. So
Yeah.
and the cinematography was absolutely fantastic in that film.
Yeah, it sure was.
It was really nice to be able to actually just sit and enjoy what was being presented on the screen and just take it all in and just look at all the work that people put into that one shot or the next shot after that. So that was good.
Did you get to play a lot of games over your break, Joe?
I did actually. I played with my older brother. I played Arkham Horror. We continued on with the what was it? The campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And I also bought a lot of board game apps on Steam.
Okay.
So just to familiarize myself with all the board games, get used to the way they feel and stuff. And during Christmas, me and my brothers we played Borderlands 2, so that was fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's what all the gaming I've done in the last couple of weeks. So, and then me and my brother we played Arkham Hall, the third edition, which is really fun. I really like the mechanics. It's smooth. They added that mythos phase where you have these chits and you put it in a cup, and they took that from the card game and implemented it into the third edition, and they really did do a very good job of adding a challenge to the game. It's pretty much
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty much like Pandemic, where they add mythos or not mythos, but I guess mythos tokens on the board. So the more you have, the more that you pull from, the more it adds like pandemics, like the diseases. So it was fun. So I thought it was a good upgrade to
Yeah.
the second one.
Well, it's good to know.
What about you?
I got almost zero gaming in because
No.
I was traveling a whole bunch with family and all that. I did get my brother a couple of board games. The big one being 5 Minute Marvel.
Yes.
I got that for him because one, it's a quick game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not super complex and can also be played 2 players. So it's something for him and his wife to play when it's just the 2 of them. And they feel like doing like a board game night because they have a little one as well.
Nice.
And also, like, in terms of like complexity and all that, once she gets up to like reading level and all that, it'll be easy to incorporate her into that game as well. So, she's almost there, so
Good.
it's not too bad.
Yeah, there was one game I played recently that was really nice. It's the I think I have it here. Let me see. I can't pronounce the name, but hey, let me see if I can spell it. It's the Onirim Omen. Onimin.
Wait, OMN.
Yeah, right there.
Oh yeah, Honorim. Oh,
Onimin.
fine.
Yeah, it's a nice
Onirim.
solitaire game, and I just recently played it. And it's really fun. It's really well, not say addictive, but it's really challenging. I played a couple games of it so far, so it's really good. It's like you basically, the concept is you're a dream walker, and you're trying to get out of the dream world, and you have to unlock 8 doors. But you've been chasing down by these dream monsters who try and keep you within the dream world.
Okay.
So it's really fun because the key of the game, or the objective is, of course, to find the doors before you have a stack of cards.
Mm-hmm.
Before that stack runs out, that stack runs out, you lose. And in order to find the keys in the doors or unlock the doors, you have like 4 colors, and you have like 2 suits. You have moon and you have a sun, and you have to rotate them and lay them down and rotate them. So you have sun, moon, sun, and then you unlock a door.
Okay.
And then you lay it out and you continue on. And you can also use keys for that, but keys can also be used for other things, like unlocking a door. If you draw a door and you have a key already in your hand, you unlock a door. And it's also a game that also uses where you can look at the next 5 cards in the deck and rearrange them if you discard that key. So it's really fun, it's really challenging, there's a lot of strategy to it. And the base game, the card game we have, comes with like about 7 expansions, so there's a lot of variety added to it.
Nice.
So it's a fun game. It's a solo game, but it can also be played with 2 players as well, cooperative. So, and there's like I think 3 other games in that line, so trying to be really good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm off screen.
Mhm.
People need to yell at me.
So, it was fun. I found it fun. I found it nice. It's good. Like I said, I have the app on my phone, so it's a good thing to pass the time. So, is there any games you would like to try to play in the future?
So I want to do more board games this year
Okay.
because I was getting into board games a little bit ago, and I then got really, really busy and caught up with life, as I think happens to a lot of people, and I kind of fell off the board game train. So I'd like to get back into that, but more importantly than anything else, I'd like to get back into more mini gaming, which is why I'm doing all this painting and why I'm working on my Thousand Suns. I love miniature wargaming. It's kind of my jam. It's the reason why I wanted to get a job here and work my butt off. And over the last year or two, working at a game store, games you start associating with the job, and then you're like, oh, well, I don't necessarily want to work. But I am now trying to rediscover the joy of playing with minis. And I want to play multiple different game systems as opposed to just one. Because I usually get super involved with like a game. I tend to narrow in and focus. But instead of being competitive with a game, I'd like to be casual with multiple games.
Hey, do you want to try some Kill Team?
Yeah, so like once I get my Thousand Suns all done, I want to do some Kill Team. I'm in a narrative league for both Warhammer 40k and Age of Sigmar. And not next week, but the week after, I should be painting some trolls for you guys on stream.
Oh, awesome. Now, I still gotta learn Monpok.
Yes.
That would be a good opportunity. I mean, if you want to teach me, that would be a good way to get back, get that going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Yeah, because we also have a Monster Apocalypse tournament coming up on the 12th. And that'll be a lot of fun, and I hope we have a lot of people coming in for that.
Yeah, when does it start again? Like what time?
It should start on the 12th of January at 11 o'clock.
Okay, cool.
And it's going to be a 2-monster event, so make sure you bring 2 monsters, some buildings, some units, all that good stuff.
So what other prizes are there? Are there any prizes? Or?
Yeah, we have prize support for it. We're doing the Crush Hour event kit, so that already comes with prizes, but we also have some other surprises coming in.
Oh, so nice.
And I'll hopefully be able to post those a little bit closer to the tournament.
It's a surprise? Oh my.
Yeah, I don't want to
So exciting.
spoil a lot of stuff.
Yeah, spoiler free. Absolutely spoiler free. Like movies should be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
But yeah, so we are doing that event, and I'm really hyped about it because I think Monster Apocalypse is a phenomenal game.
Yeah, it looks like a game that I could get into because it looks really simple.
Yeah, it's easy to pick up, but that doesn't take away from the depth of it. Usually, like, that word is used for like games quantified as like a beginner game or like, new player friendly. And Monpok is those things. Like, you can be a new player at it and you can grasp it very easy. But there is still a lot of depth to the game, and it's really kind of exciting to see people's plans come together, because they really kind of emphasize positioning your monsters and taking advantage of your opponent who maybe didn't position things appropriately, and it's really cool that they have this kind of like system in there, and there's ways to have this like back and forth, especially with like how the turn mechanic works, where you're alternating between monsters and units. So
yeah, I always liked how miniature games are kind of like chess, but far more advanced with that strategy aspect to it. Pieces moving together. But another game that's also I find to be very good to get into is Dust 1947.
Yeah,
really
Dust is another one, and I actually liken Dust a lot to Monster Apocalypse, because both of those games excel at a grid-based system of movement.
Oh yeah.
So when I say grid movement, I'm referring to like almost board game-esque, where you'll have either hexes, squares, or whatever on the board, and your units or army or monster or whatever can only move a certain amount of squares.
Yeah. I also like this dice rolling is a bit simpler in 40k, because in 40k you have to roll for, if you hit, you got to roll for attack, and then the other guy has to roll for damage.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of rolling, there's a lot of numbers. This is fine, this is great. I have no, that's the game. But for me, it's like the dust, you have to roll a dice. If you get the symbol, you hit. If you don't, you don't hit. It's really simple and really
Yeah.
easy. They are able to simplify, but then still add that strategy to it. Where you move if you got to position it just right. So,
Yeah. Like I was talking about, both those games, positioning is pretty fundamental. So, and with Dust and Monpok, the dice are even. They have each their own unique dice, which kind of simplifies it from a D6. So it's very kind of straightforward to look at the dice and figure out what has happened. Like, what happened according to that roll in like almost a split second.
And I think Warhammer Kill Team is a very good way to get into 40K.
Oh, absolutely. Kill Team's really strong way to get into 40K. I also like Necromunda in a similar sense, because Necromunda, while it has some different rules to it, it's kind of a crossover game because it carries a lot of like role-playing elements to it. And that to me is pretty valuable for at least like getting people who are outside of like the mini wargaming into it. So having new elements is really awesome, like or role-playing elements is really awesome.
Yeah, we actually have right now we have a couple of people playing Kill Team right now out there, so it's really popular.
Mm-hmm.
It's a couple of tournaments.
Yeah, we have a new league coming up. I don't think I'll be able to play in that league because I'm committed to 2 other leagues right now. But I do want to play Kill Team games just on my own.
Sorry.
Joe, baby, you don't ever gotta apologize. Except when you're late, then you do.
Well, yeah.
Don't be late, Joe. I'll find you. But yeah, so kind of off topic or we got off the trails a little bit with that, but my goal is just to be playing more games. That's what I like to do. That's what I want to do more of. I want to rediscover that fun, whether it's doing board games or mini games or role-playing games. I wouldn't mind doing some role-playing games. I just got to balance the time.
Alright, cool. Well, you let me know if you want to play any games, and maybe we can get together and we can play some games. So
Absolutely. So yeah.
well, those are looking nice. Really good. I like the color. What are those? Is that teal or blue? Or?
Yeah, it's more of a teal. So it's like if you look at it more in person, you're going to be like, oh yeah, that's teal. But it's very on the blue spectrum, right?
Okay.
Like,
more
like
bluish than it is greenish.
correct.
Yeah, teal's for some reason teal's my favorite color. I don't know why. I guess it's just a nice, cool looking color. It's a nice, but at the same time, it's unique, I guess, because you have your basics, but then you have this one unique color that seems to be almost its own thing. But I know it's not. But it seems to be.
No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I always enjoyed teals. I like cyans and magentas a lot. And so teal would be a little bit greener than most cyans, but I like the bright blues with like bright pinks. I like that effect. Like I like that contrast between the two. So I have a tendency to gravitate towards those colors when I'm painting. So yeah. I am now using Privateer Press's Sickly Skin as kind of my almost white. And the reason why I like Sickly Skin is it has a little bit of green in it, and it is an off-white. So the almost green in it will play with the blue in the like undercoats that I was doing to once again start doing a little bit of that like teal effect on him. and then from there, it also kind of distinguishes itself from the undercoat and also kind of helps make things pop. So
So, a question about color theory. Actually, I'm
Mhm.
thinking about learning more of it. How would I go about learning how the colors are associated with moods and such?
books is going to be like books and internet articles and things like that
Okay.
are going to be the most ready available resource for you.
All right.
And you might want to do, especially for you, who is more of a visual person.
Yeah.
Do some YouTube videos because
Okay.
there will be a bunch of YouTube videos going over like color theory,
Alright.
like as in like it's a seminar on color theory, and they'll show you the colors and how and why they work well together and
Okay.
what the combination is supposed to convey in terms of mood. So there's a lot of resources out there. It's just finding the one that works for you.
Also trying to sort all that stuff out because you have so many videos. You may be
Yeah.
like finding an advanced one when you're trying to start
So
from the beginner one.
generally what I would do
Mm-hmm.
is type in color theory for beginners
Okay.
on the YouTube and see which one has the most views,
Okay.
and then try that one out, because generally there's a reason why something is popular, right?
Correct.
And so see if that one works for you. It may work, it may not work, but then from there you have a bit of a frame of reference for what the material you're looking for is, and what does work and what you are looking for. The worst thing you can really do is not be active in the learning experience. So like if you find something, like let's say you find color theory for beginners, like that's just the name of the YouTube, and you start watching it and it's just not kind of doing anything for you.
Yeah.
If you just sit there and you don't do anything about it, then you're not learning, you're not doing anything, you're just kind of trying to learn through osmosis, which I've been told multiple times throughout my history does not work.
I was thinking about actually trying to create my own, get some paints like the red, blue, and yellow, and create my own color wheel.
Yeah.
Get used to that mixing.
So that is a very good idea. And what I will tell you is, in art school, the first assignment you get in color theory is get your red, blue, and yellow and make a color wheel.
Okay.
And so doing that with miniature paint will, one, teach you a little bit about mixing. And mixing colors is pretty important. And then it will also get you a feel for the brush and for the paints, because one of the best things you can do in terms of painting is get as much practice in with brushwork, because brushwork will literally change the quality of your model, because sometimes people come in and they're going to be really sloppy, or they'll be really thick with the paints, and the more work you do, the more you refine that and the more you figure it out yourself.
Nice.
So I think that's a really good idea, and I would really encourage anybody to do that. And by the way, anyone listening, I didn't put Joe to say that or anything, but it's a really good idea. And if you are new to painting and you don't mind doing a little extra legwork, starting off by doing your own color wheel will 100% improve the quality of your painting and your color theory.
Oh yeah. Well, that was this day. I was, like I said, I was thinking about doing this a long time ago, and just try and get, this is something I want to learn more of.
Yeah.
So because I enjoy colors too, I've always have, and it makes sense for me to learn about them.
Yeah. So like learning what colors evoke what sense is good, and it's super helpful. but it's not necessarily as fundamental as, you know, the core of mixing paints and figuring out how to make those colors. Because at the end of the day, especially when it comes to like miniature painting, you might be like, I want this army red, but I want it a very specific red. And if you have the knowledge base on how to make that red consistently, then that'll help you out. And then also when you make it yourself, you know what properties go in it, right? Yeah. So if you're like, oh, hey, I'm making this red and I know I'm putting this blue in, what should I do for the shadow? Well, maybe I'll take this blue and add a purple or a black into it to make it the shadow, so it kind of ties into that red, so the colors go together.
Nice.
So those are all really good skills to have, and it'll improve your painting. Like I can't really reiterate that enough. Yeah. I'll stress as much as I want. Okay, so we're at the hour mark. We're going to go for like another couple minutes, just get to the quarter till, and we will then kind of cap it off at there. But I'm almost done with the tertiary highlight on the cloak, and then we will go for highlight number, or the final highlight, which is going to be a pure white, but we'll probably get to that next time. If you guys like me working on Thousand Sons, let me know. If you want to see more 40k or maybe like a different army or whatever, I am open to suggestions. Until asked for something else, I will always paint my own models, but I have no problem painting anything else. I enjoy challenges. I enjoy doing things a little different. So,
how big of a model would you be willing to take on?
I will honestly paint any size model.
Okay.
For money.
I like that, honestly.
Yeah. I don't really have like a preference or whatever in terms of size. My preference is usually more for like detail, like whether it's like, oh, I want a bunch of organic shapes and things like that, or oh, hey, maybe I want something that's like really like blocky, or something that has layer upon layer of detail. I generally like the like painting more organic things with less layers on it, because I feel I can knock out the model quicker that way. And that's pretty much it. It's just me being selfish and wanting to not spend forever doing layer upon layer upon layer of the sky. The Thousand Sons are kind of at like my threshold for how much stuff I like on a model. So, you know, they have like a lot of like ribbons and tassels and things like that. And that's fine. It's not my favorite, but it's not to the point where I'm like, no, I'm not going to paint these guys. So, yeah. But yeah, that's kind of my thought on a lot of it is scale is usually pretty irrelevant. It's just the amount of detail present. So, like, painting a Warlord Titan, I would not be a super big fan of because, you know, like, it's got all those compartments and things like that. But, like, painting, like, a life-size Batman bust, I'd be much more interested in because, once again, it's more organic. It's not going to be filled with, like, tiny, fiddly details like a Warlord Titan would be because the scale of it is 28 millimeters. It's just blown up really big. So, yeah. Well, alright guys, I'm wrapping up this model, and I hope you enjoyed the stream. Please let me know what you guys liked, what you don't like, and we will hopefully have a better stream next week, as I think every stream's been better than the last, I hope. Alright, goodbye guys!